We'll go. Welcome back to another Hit in the Turnbuckle podcast, Down Under. I say Down Under, you're going to be familiar with both accents during this, but he is Down Under, I can assure you. We're going to be talking to another man on the Australian scene. Is doing very, very well for himself. For those of you that saw PWA a few weeks ago, you come within an eyelash of winning the sword. But he is the Melbourne City Wrestling champion. Built in Britain, though, made in Melbourne. He is the gift. He is the one. He is Mr. Robbie Thorpe. How you doing, sir?
Very good. I think I need you to announce my next show. That was absolutely beautifully done.
Yeah, just pay for my flight,
Amazing,
Robbie. I'll be there. Don't worry. Robbie, thanks for coming on. Look, I would made no bones about it. That was my first PWA show that I watched, locked in the cage. Not because I wasn't really, I never knew you could watch it on YouTube until I saw the post from Chebs, and luckily enough, I work at home on a Friday, so it was sort of worked really good for me. Um, I was really impressed with that and everything, the production levels and everything like that. But just talk to us about the Australian scene in general, because obviously you work for a couple of different promotions out there. How is it over there right now?
I think, firing on all cylinders, if I have to be quite honest. The talent that is here is incredible. The unfortunate thing is, like you said, Adam, was it's just visibility more than anything. So I think the only way that it's really being pushed is, well, the two reasons: free on YouTube. A lot of the shows do eventually go free on YouTube, which is just a huge benefit to getting those eyeballs on us. But people like Chebs, right? So Chebs is internationally renowned. Like, if you know Australian wrestling, you think of Chebs, you think of Robbie Eagles, you think of like these big guys like Adam Brooks. It takes those kind of characters to be on our shows to help push that product out. So I think we would be in a very worse off state in terms of the visibility aspect, but the quality would still remain. Like, it's just, I'm it becomes this because there's not a lot of opportunity. They have to push very hard. We have to push very hard, and we have to get to a good level straight away. Like, there's no slowing down. There's no, oh, we can try this out. It's we have to deliver straight away and make sure that it's good enough for people like yourself to pick it up for the first time and be like, this is actually good, rather than, oh, it was okay.
Yeah, I get that. I loved it. I thought it was great. I can't wait for that. I know there's a show coming up in May, which I'm going to be watching. Obviously, if it's on YouTube, if it's live on YouTube, great. I'll watch it straight away. I had no intention of reviewing the show, but as always with these shows, I've got a pen and paper, and I just taking notes. And after, I think it was your first match. You had Braxton, didn't you? First, I'm pretty sure it was
Yeah,
you and
yeah.
Braxton. I
Had
was half,
Brex, yeah.
yeah, I was halfway through that match, and I was like, "Well, I've got all these notes. I'm gonna have to review it now because I was so enthralled with what you guys were doing." Straight away, it was a really, I always say with shows, and my sort of philosophy when we do shows is always start the show hot and take them, get
Yep.
them up and ready. And you guys did that in a crazy way. And just as a slight side, I actually done a review of an independent show that I went to a couple of days before, and my big thing was, in my opinion, their match didn't do that, and it was like so
Mm.
the polar opposites. When I saw that, it was great. But look, everyone will notice your accent, right? So they'll know
Yes.
there's a little bit of an Australian twang to it, but you're not. You're from England. So talk to us about your time in England first, and how the move to Australia happened.
So, to try and cut a long story short, I was born in Lincolnshire, so I'm a Grimsby boy, Scunthorpe boy. So, I was from the mean streets of Cleethorpes, the Monaco of the Northeast.
Yep.
Uh, um, and I moved over when I was 14. And when I was here, I came back to England for a couple of years to do a bit of a walkabout, and I started wrestling then. So I actually started wrestling on my trip back to England. I went to a What Culture Pro Wrestling show in Milton Keynes when they was in the ice rink, and I saw this Osprey and Rey Mysterio in the main event, and I was just like, okay, I have to do this, and walked into Apex Pro Wrestling the following week, and the journey kind of started there. It's just a massive difference, I think, in terms of the England and Australian scene because it's just so difficult to get an opportunity in Australia. That the demand for constant shows across the country isn't the same, And
Mm.
in, getting to Sydney, to Melbourne, to Canberra, to Brisbane or Perth, it's like it's a 2 hour flight each time. Like it's not a drive like sometimes in England you can just go to the next town and
Yeah.
go and I'll get a training seminar here and then just work over there and do 10 shows a weekend. But I think that's the biggest difference, I guess, in terms of the England versus Australian scene. But I do miss the my roots, the foundations that were built at Apex and Hustle. So yeah, I hope to make a trip back one day and show what I've learned in the past couple of years here in Australia.
Well, that would be great if you ever did. I mean, obviously, we spoke beforehand, and obviously, I have ties with Ignite Wrestling. Well, I do have ties with Apex, so we have the. You can't really go for the women's championship, Robbie, at Apex, unfortunately. But we do have another title, which is unisex, which is the Turnbuckle Championship at Ignite. So, if there was an
Oh,
option
perfect.
there, you could have you could
Yeah.
have that for sure. Um, Going back though, you said there about the demand for shows and whatnot. Um, how is it different now in the UK for you then? Because obviously you come obviously from the UK, you've gone to the Australia. It was a big jump for you. Um, Talk about those first few months that when you've started wrestling over in Australia and how you have to acclimatize. You mentioned are the styles different between Australia and the UK from when you come back and then went back and wrestled?
Yeah, I think just from the foundation level, so I felt my grappling was definitely focused on when I was in the UK. I think that
Mm.
any UK-based wrestler, it's just the fundamentals and the grappling element is just drilled into you for the first year.
Yeah.
And the trainers that I had, so they may not want to be a part of my journey, but they are a part of my journey. So like Sid Scala, Sammy Smooth, Gene Money, got Dread Callier, like those kind of guys. Liam Hamlet had ingratiated that element of sorting the foundation element out and getting the grappling part just 100% nailed on. So when I first came to Australia, I was like, oh, I'm the grappling guy. Like that's just going to be I'm the English grappling guy. It's going to be fine. But the culture shock was quite evident quickly, which was every product that I was on very early on was made for TV. So it was very much just we had to work to cameras a lot more compared to the juries in Milton Keynes where we're just working the crowd constantly and the camera was kind of second fiddle. And most of the shows that I did do in the UK was the camera's just there. We didn't really work the camera in that kind of sense.
Mhm.
Whereas the Australian one was like, no, we need to make a product that is digestible and great straight away. And the way that we have to do that is work the cameras like the big companies, the big three-letter companies, and do that straight away. And I didn't think I had the ability to, I guess, focus on the British grappling game when I had to, kind of push my face out there and try and build upon the character elements. So I think that's just been the biggest difference. It's get made for TV compared to learn how to wrestle. Is a big difference, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Because there is, cameras and it gives you, especially when you're streaming live on YouTube as well, there is that element to it. Is that a bit more pressure? Is that a bit more of a pressure situation? Obviously, as you say, the UK, a lot of it work character-based work. You either get cheered or you get booed from the crowd, and you play
Yeah.
on that element. I see that a lot.
Mm.
But when you are streaming, especially live, there is that pressure element. Like you don't, it's the silly things like if I fall over on my entrance, I'm gonna look like a dick, or. But is that also playing in your mind when it's live? Like you kind of got to watch every little step or every little facial expression or anything like that.
I feel I like those moments where I mess up, or because it's just like, oh, I'm the only one who knows. I'm the only one who knows I've messed up, I've done something bad, or like, so I can play into it regardless. And yes, the crowd in attendance can kind of get a little bit of that, boo yeah scenario that I think was built in the UK a little bit, which um, I think there are some people that are so focused on not messing up they just eventually, oh, you're messing up by trying to focus too much on that point. But yeah, going back to the England stuff, like there's been British guys that have come out and they're in ring. I don't think anyone can touch them. Like
Yeah.
I just think they're second to none in terms of in ring ability. It's just when it gets to that live, like on TV kind of presentation, that's when they start to struggle, and it's very much just like that. Oh, is what you prefer kind of thing. What like different flavors of ice cream, and it's the people like Chevs who have just mastered both. I think like it's just very much mastered all those kind of scenarios pushed into one.
Yeah, definitely. I look forward to. I do love the YouTube shows. I wanted to talk though, and I have to talk about the crowd in Australia. Well, especially at the PWA
Oh,
show.
yeah.
Obviously, we
Okay.
had the Brack section, which you pissed them off straight away at the start,
Yeah.
which was fantastic. Um, but they just, and I think it's just the culture difference over there. When I was listening to Gal and Rose on the commentary, and they're calling people pricks and dicks, and you
Yeah.
don't get that, and it's kind of part of Australian culture. It popped me big time when I was watching it. But the crowd are just like so invested. In an independent crowd, it's very difficult. Sometimes you're going to get the good ones, and sometimes I know it was an 18 plus show, so there was more of
Mm.
an adult nature to it. But to have them bop into the dropouts and singing Marmouche and Hating You and everything that they done there, it was such a great crowd at that particular show. But like I just find that it helped make that actual show even more better than what it was.
100%. I think that goes to any kind of show in Australia that the majority of shows when they're announced, like the tickets become announced, and they don't have a wrestler announced for the show, it's just the show. And pe people are already selling out their shows. So the wrestler doesn't sell out the show sells out itself because the crowd wants to be a part of that show as much as each of the wrestlers. So they just get straight into it. So like I'm pretty sure you were hearing they were yelling at me, Lizzie's in a box, like the whole time. And I'm trying not to laugh the whole time because I think that's just a hilarious chant to be yelling at someone for about 10 minutes. But even like the balloon section with Brax, like they want to be a part of the show and they end up walking out, which was even better for me in the grander scheme of things. So like, the dropouts, it's just dropouts are just part of the show as well. Like everyone wants to be a part of the show in some facility, and I think that's the beauty of Australian wrestling. It's like they're as much as a part of the show as we are, and I think that's just a testament to firstly the lack of opportunity and the lack of shows that do happen in Australia, and just the rare nature of them, but also because the quality of the show is so high.
Yeah, exactly. That certainly was anyway. I say it was my first one. That was one of the best shows that I've seen. But let's switch to MCW now, because obviously you've got some great success at PWA, but MCW is where you've really kind of come into your own and won championships.
Mm.
Talk about that first championship win, because look, when you do get, I always say to even when the guys that we put our championship on that it might not mean anything to a lot of people. I'm just winning a championship, but for in a lot of ways, you're going to be the reason why they pay tickets because they want to see their champions in there. So does that add the
Mm.
element of pressure to you? And talk about that first opportunity where they said, "Hey, you're going to get the championship tonight."
Um, it was MCW was always that company that I wanted to work for when I came to Australia, and it was
Mm.
such a hard thing to breach. It was a very difficult company to get into, and when my time did come, and just even being in the ring, so I had opportunities with Zaria, and like it was just like okay, I'm face to face with greatness right here, and then I would go on to the next person like Mitch Waterman, and I'm like okay, I'm face to face with greatness, and then Buddy Matthews, and it was just name after name after name, and you just go, oh my God, I'm so lucky to be here. And when the IC Championship went on me, like Osprey's held that belt,
Yeah,
Brooksy held that belt, Uggs held that belt, and it's just the names that have held it before me. I'm like, oh, I'm so lucky to be a part of the history.
yeah,
So then I become world champion last year, and I'm thinking to myself the same thing. It's just like these people that have held it before, like Duke Hanson, we've got Bronson Reed, Robbie,
mhm,
like got some huge names, selects huge names. And I'm just like, I'm part of that now. Like, and it's a responsibility as this is the biggest company in the country. This is going to be on the world stage in some capacity. I'm holding a championship that's been held by so many people. Okay, now the eyes are on you, and you've got to kind of deliver that and be responsible for that. And I think because it's taken me 3 or 4 years to get to that point, I feel comfortable in the responsibility and being in the position to deliver and have the eyes on me. I think yeah, I'm very lucky and very fortunate to have some very incredible people around me to help push me to that position. But I also have to be arrogant to think like I deserve to be there. Like there's an arrogance to me where I'm like, no, I deserve it. I've put the hard yards in. I've worked to that point. It's not just a gift, right? I'm the gift, and it's just
oh,
now I'm putting in this position here.
Yeah, exactly that. No, you listen, you've earned your stripes. It doesn't really matter whatever country. I know you have to re-earn them in a lot of ways when you go to a
Yeah.
different country. But you've clearly done that. But you did have to go, well, you've done a ballroom brawl and you had to be number one at back end, or this was the early part of last year or the mid part of last year because you had lost a match. I believe it was to Jarvis, where you had to the loser
Just.
of that becomes number one. So you've done what a lot of wrestlers do in America. You do the well, not of them don't many do, but you've had a couple that have gone from one to end. How difficult, do you have to be sort of well in a sort of barroom brawl? What was the ballroom brawl? Was it like a Royal Rumble? And if so, how
Yeah.
difficult is it? Because you've got to remember not to slip. Because I always think sometimes when you get chucked over and you're hanging on for dear life, I think bloody hell, those ropes are going to be wet. They could slip off here. How difficult is those sort of matches?
I'm very fortunate in being I was probably the biggest guy in that match. So I was 6'6", 115 kilos. So the chances of someone easily throwing me over the top rope was not going to happen very easily. And when I'm on the floor after being knocked out a few times, it's going to be very hard for them to pick me back up. But um, I think like working those kind of matches, I enjoy. I enjoy being in those kind of things where things might not go to plan or we haven't figured out what's kind of happening in certain areas. So I revel in those moments. I think they're my most like favorite positions to be in. But um, being a part of like a rumble, like again, it's probably it's just being lucky to be a part of something that so many people have won. So like Buddy Matthews won it a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, Jonah Rock's won it, Bronson Reed's won it. Like you just like, whoa, like these are big names. And then Robbie Thorpe's there as well. Like I'm in the same conversation now, and it's just like, okay, I don't think I'll be part of these conversations, but I'm very fortunate to be a part of them.
Definitely, the lineage of those championships and those big. It's always like I remember back when I was going up, like the King of the Ring in the WWE. It was a
Mm.
big thing. It was like you were going up to they were testing the waters with you for the championships and the Intercontinental Championship
Yeah.
was the same back in my during the war or back in my day, depending on what way. Yeah, but it was the prologue, right? And the lineage, the people that won that, and you're a part of that lineage, which is a great thing. And right before we start the next part. I always break off and do some random stuff. I've done this with Gal and Rose. It was going to be interesting to see how your answers differ or similar to these two
Okay. Yeah.
on the comms. And I spoke to you about this before, and I gave you a one because I always think it's necessary to get your mind going prior to we start. So it gives you an idea. Look, wrestling theme songs play a massive, important role in sometimes in a character of a wrestler. We used to hear the glass smash with Steve Austin, and people knew that shit was going down. When Roman Reigns come out, we knew it was something special. He didn't even need a beat. When MJF comes out, even just that, we spoke to Mikey Ruckus, the guy that does the made his theme, and it was just something that the theme happens, and you just know. But
Mm.
I have to ask the question on this. Your Mount Rushmore of wrestling theme songs, what would they be?
Oh. So I'm a massive Evolution fan. I think I've just modeled my whole career
Yep.
off each member in some faculty. So I think
Yep.
Evolution theme song is probably number one for me anyway. I always think about how I apply it when I'm working out, so I always
Yeah.
put that into my mentality. So
Love
Evolution,
that. Yeah.
Batista's, Triple H's has to be the three. And I
Yep.
was going to pick Randy Orton, but I'm going to go with Kit Wilson because he's my boy. So
Very smooth. Yeah.
um, yeah,
Love
Sammy Smooth is my he's a very close friend. Not close friend, but he's one of those people you just like. I love being around him, so I'm gonna add that in.
it's an
Yeah.
incredible thing how you can get over with a theme song, right? And it's just
Oh,
you know, now he's getting those pops now when he just walks on, everyone kind of just loves it. Not, it's just incredible. I just find it incredible how that's happened. Like, a bit like Joe Hendry and how
yeah, yeah, 100%.
it's just
And
incredible.
it's for the Sammy for Kit, it was that thing of I hadn't seen him since 2019
Mm,
when I left. I had my last and first my first tag match in England and my last match in England was against Pretty Deadly.
yeah.
And I hadn't seen him for 6 years, and I went to the Perth WWE show and I was doing extra work, and I was stood there in the corridor trying to not make any noise. And then he walks down. He goes, "Oh, Robbie, how you doing, mate?" Like, and it was just like we haven't seen each other in 6 years, haven't spoken. He's just like the same as he was when I knew him back then. So I'm like, okay, it's immediately going to go straight on the playlist. And when I'm in a bit of a funk, when I'm working out or in life, I just put that on. I'm just like, yeah, okay, no worries. It's good.
Um, I remember before Ignite became Ignite, it was called The Clash, and Sammy Smooth was a part of The Clash as well over
Oh,
here. So it was
we
great.
love that.
I wasn't there at the time, but I get told a lot of stories when we have our chats about wrestling. Um, Going on from that, I call this, well, I'm going to call this one Robbie Thorpe's Table for free. You get three
Oh,
people alive, living or past, or present or future, present or now, or well, past or present, of three wrestlers that your three wrestling personalities you can have around a dinner table. Who are they going to be?
oh, I better not have the boogeyman in there because that would be weird too. Um, I'll probably go with. I prefer Ricky Steamboat to Flair. I'm gonna go with Steamboat,
Yeah.
because I still want to hear some of the Flair stories, but I know Flair will get too drunk and it'll be very difficult to get through the conversation.
Yeah, don't buy a cameo of him.
Oh, not good.
Not if you've seen some of the ones that has come. They done one where someone wanted him to do a cameo of for his friend that was getting married, and he was drunk doing it and just basically saying, "It's the worst mistake you ever make in your life." Yada yada yada. They had to end up refunding him.
Oh. Yeah, I'll go Steamboat because he felt like he had his head screwed on,
Yeah.
but he was in the period of wrestling where like I enjoy watching. So like the 80s, early 90s,
Yeah.
where I'm like, okay, a lot of it would be drug fueled and drunk, and but he seemed like he was level headed, so he might be able to tell stories about what happened. So I
Yeah.
think he would probably be one person. Um, oh, I'm gonna go with Eddie because it'd just be the chance to meet Eddie. I think that was
Yeah.
just one of the high, like, I've met a lot of people in wrestling and through wrestling, and it's just that's one of the people obviously we can't. So I think he would just be in there just for the oh my god, it's Eddie Guerrero, and we need a bit of fun in there. So I'm gonna go with Hulk Hogan just to tell his incredible lies, and then we got Steve out going, "Nah, mate, that didn't happen." We need a crazy storyteller in there, surely. So,
Who? If well, in regards to Eddie Guerrero, I did have the privilege of meeting him.
oh my
Um,
gosh.
I'll quickly tell you this. It's quite long-winded. I'll try and shorten it. I went out to WrestleMania 21, so it was my first holiday with my friends, not with the parents. Not quite old enough to drink, but could get away with it, if that makes sense. We landed in
Yeah.
America, 14-hour flight. We went via Germany, landed in America, got to the hotel. Hotel had a Denny's attached to it, like many do in the States.
Mm.
We're in there. We're like, what's going on today? Oh, there's an Eddie Guerrero signing in Toys R Us. Okay, we'll eat and go. We got into the taxi, got to the place, and there's people in tents. I don't know if they camped
Mm.
out there, but there's people in tents. So we joined this queue and it's limited to 500 people. So we're like, well, if we don't get a ticket, we'll just get a taxi and go back. We were 496, 497, 498, 499, and 500. So we were the last 4 or 5 people that you could get a ticket for, which was great. So anyway, he comes in, he does the sign, and it's 6 till 8. It gets to like 2 minutes to 8. And we're just inside the door of Toys R Us. You just got to go to the left, and he's to the right, and he's there. And she says, "Look, he's got to go at 8. We're going to have to find out if he's going to be able to do these last few bits." So we're like, "Okay, what if it is what it is?" So she walks over and she's talking. You can hear he's talking to him, and he looks up. And this is the bit where, even though we were 20s years old, we all just fanboyed. He looked up. He done his little shoulder jig, and he was like, "We got all night, SA!" And then at that point, it was just we all just stupidly fanboyed the whole situation. But he was one of the nicest guys. But it was literally 6 months later that he passed after we met him. We met
Oh
him,
my god.
and then he passed in the September. So yeah, that was my
Oh,
one Eddie Guerrero memory that I could when I met him. Great guy, lovely guy to meet. But yeah, just
good. Good.
taken way too soon.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was a great guy. Yeah, fantastic. I mentioned earlier about theme songs and we spoke about the dropouts and everyone like that. But if Robbie Thorpe could have a band play him out at a wrestling event, who is it going to be? If you could choose anybody.
They're not even my favorite band, but it's just because I think it's was it Klitschko's entrance for "Can't Stop" by Red Hot Chili Peppers? I think it
So
was at the stadium. I think Klitschko, and it's just an amazing like just build of "Can't Stop" for like the lights and stuff. It just looks amazing. I'm like, I was still that completely still. I don't even like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but I just love that thing. So I'm a Jack Johnson acoustic fan, but I don't think that'll go very well over with wrestling audiences. Just a guy with the acoustic guitar
Is there an
on Nat King
arena?
Cole.
Is there an arena that you'd like to work in that you haven't? Like, if you could like come out, if we mentioned that the band can play you out, what would be the arena that they would play you out in?
It's one of two. For just the size, it would have to be Wembley just to be in
Mhm.
London and be in like, but Glanford Park, Scunthorpe United, home stadium, 8,000 people. Because yeah, but my dream when I was a kid was to either play for Scunthorpe United or Grimsby Town because I lived on like halfway between them. So I'm like, Glanford Park to me was Mecca. So I'm gonna have that in my back pocket, even though we've never had wrestling. They've just only had football. But I'm like, nah, I'm bringing it back.
Love that. That would be great. Right, we're going to start moving to the final part of the show now. Look, been on in Australia. You're doing a lot of work over there. Is there? Look, we saw that recently. Tony Khan was there. We had quite a few ended up on Ring of Honor recently. I know Chebs is desperate to get that contract for AEW, and if Tony Khan's got any sense, he'll use the $8.6 billion that he was going to bid for WWE to bid for Chebs. But look. What are your goals? Like, do you set goals? Is there aspirations? What's the end game for Robbie Thorpe?
I think that, well, firstly, I would like to say Chevs just needs that, like, deserves that. Like, geez, if there's a few people on my fingers that I think like just deserve a contract straight away, she's definitely one of them. I'm on there as well, but
Of
I
course.
definitely want to, I definitely want to keep aspiring to that next level. So, I actually did speak to Tony Khan backstage. Um, Unfortunately, I didn't have the great sense of mind to talk about wrestling, but talked about my football manager, Fulham save from Fulham Manager 22. Um, so we spoke for half an hour about Harry Wilson's contract situation and getting that kind of sorted. But yeah, look, I enjoyed being around that group of people, so like Carl Fletcher and like Orange Cassidy and stuff, the lovely human beings that I was just like, okay, they're great human beings to be around. WWE being backstage with those kind of people was the same thing where I'm like, I'm this close. I'm this close to doing
Yeah.
something potentially. And I think that that was always going to be in the back of my mind. But if my level is being MCW World Heavyweight Champion, being on Coliseums for PWA, being on big positions in Canberra or Perth, then I'll be very, very happy with that. Like I'm very content and satisfied with the fact that if you think of Australian wrestling, you'll be thinking of Robbie Thorpe in those kind of conversations. Like I'll be very much just glad to be with that. Because I think there's so many people in Australia thinking that there's only a life in America for wrestling, where I'm like, we can build something here. Like there's something that could be built here. We have the talent here. We have the product. That if we work together, we can deliver something amazing. And I would love to be a part of something huge in that. But I'm never going to close any doors. I'm never going to just say, no, that's completely out of the question for me. But yeah, I like to think of big dreams, but manage expectations in that as well. So um, yeah, I think I'm doing all right. But I think
No.
there's always room for improvement.
Yeah, exactly that. Very, very smart figure. And how softly spoken is Cole Fletcher, by the way? He's
He like it's such a obviously he's being nice to me because I'm a lot bigger than him. I could beat him up. No, he is just a great human being, and it's just seeing him as someone from PWA deliver on the world stage is just I think same with him with like Grayson Waller and seeing those kind of people just deliver, and you're like, okay, it's close, it's possible. I love seeing it. I think that's the best thing about Australian wrestling, and I think it's very similar about English wrestling, where if you see one of your own make it, you're like, oh, yes, we're this close, we're this close. It can be done, and it kind of means that you don't have to be a meathead college guy to be signed by a major company. It's like, no, it's the quality is being seen and it's being rewarded with contracts.
Yeah, definitely so. Right, as we start to wrap up now, Robbie, look, what have you got coming up? I know we've got a big show coming up this coming Saturday when this goes out. There'll be a big Melbourne City Wrestling show. I think are you teaming up with Duke now at this show? Is that where we're going?
I'm teamed up with Duke Hansen, so he's coming back for his first appearance in Australia since his stint in WWE, which I can't wait to teach him a few things. I've I'm looking forward to it. I've been compared to him my whole life. Literally 6 foot. He's 6'5". I'm 6'5.5". I have to be slightly bigger than him.
Of course.
But I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to actually just being in the ring with someone of his caliber. And then against Adam Brooks and Jarvis, two people have both broken my face in separate occasions. So I'm willing to return the favor in some capacity.
Yeah.
But that is this weekend, MCW New Horizons. So that show will be available on YouTube, I think, a couple of days after.
Yeah.
And that'll be free as well.
Yes, I'll be reviewing that, so I'll be watching that when it comes out. It comes out over Easter.
Better deliver.
Yes,
Deliver.
you better deliver. Or yeah, I was. Yeah, you won't like my review otherwise. No, look, I'll be watching that when it comes out. I think it comes out April 2nd or 3rd over here in the UK. So Easter weekend, which is even better for us. But you've also got another PWA show coming up in May.
The PWA Dropout show.
Yep.
I'm not sure if I'm going to be a part of it just yet because I don't like the dropouts, and if their face is on the poster and mine isn't, so I'm going to have a few words with who's organising that. That's because they're putting their faces on the poster when you're missing this. I think it's a bit of a bad marketing mistake, but yeah, that's in May. I'm not sure where it is. I think it is at the and there's also Slam Pro Wrestling, which I'm a tag team champion of.
Yeah.
So they're having a show next week at the same time, unfortunately, which is why I can't make it. So yeah, I'm everywhere. I'm literally everywhere. I'm losing track of how many shows I'm going to be a part of, unfortunately.
And a PWA show in July as well, the Rumble, Metro.
The Rumble, the Metro Rumble is always a fun occasion. It's an amazing venue. Absolutely love it. I don't have the greatest of times at the Metro. I think I'm 0 for 5 there, but I'm willing to make a difference this one. So
let's hope that you do, guys. Anyone in the UK, anything, go to PW Australia, Pro Wrestling Australia on YouTube. You can watch that. I think Melbourne City Wrestling. I think it's either MCW or Melbourne City Wrestling on YouTube as well. So you'll be able to check that out in a couple of days when next week when it comes out. So don't forget to see Robbie in action. So it's going to be a combined height of about 13 foot. Which with you and
yes.
Do you know what you got to do? You've got to get on his shoulders and like drop an elbow off his shoulders.
Oh, you want me to? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try out.
That'd be incredible.
I think I'll get a lot of shakes going that high up, to be honest. But
that would be incredible. Robbie, look, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for coming on. I've really enjoyed. Oh, before we do, how rude of me. If you are available for some bookings, where can people find you?
Robbie Thorpe Restaurant on Instagram. Please be very polite in your messages because I do get some insane things, as most wrestlers do. And there's also Robbie Thorpe Wrestler at gmail.com. I hope to make it back to the UK very soon. It's something that's definitely on my list, especially to see some family if I have to, but mainly for the wrestling element. So, yes.
Yeah. If I have to see the family, if not, I'll do yes. And so, any UK promoters, if there is interest, reach out. Look, I'm sure we can all make something happen in there together, and we'd love you at Ignite to come in and show us what we do. We had Jimmy Zero from Australia come on.
Oh yeah, Jimmy, yeah.
Right. Yeah, he's part of the breakout match in February. That we had. Great talent at such a young age as well. But yes, anyone in the UK, reach out to Robbie and see if we can make it happen and get him on a tour of the UK before he gets snapped up elsewhere. That's for sure. But Robbie, look, it's been great talking to you. I wish you all the success. I'll be watching you with Duke next week. I'll be watching you in PWA if you're on the Dropout show. Certainly be watching you to try and see if you can break that Metro duck. But coming up on our channel, Eddie Edwards from TNA, another TNA exclusive. He'll be dropping tomorrow, funnily enough, ahead of Sacrifice. Also, a big thanks to TNA's AJ Francis for dropping by last week and gracing us with his presence. Unfortunately, as an Arsenal fan, I had to cut the interview short. But there we go. But also big thanks for coming on. We'll be coming back to the show for show number 4 that I get to call him Uncle Eric now. Eric Bischoff will be back on the show very, very soon to talk all things Real American Freestyle. But from Robbie Thorpe, I've been your host, Adam Cousins, and you've been watching Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Follow us everywhere at HTT Buckle. And until next time, everybody, buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.